Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Student Series at Caapid Simplified. I am Dr. Parishi Marfatia, and today I have the pleasure of speaking with Dr. Bhavika Gupta, who recently started her journey at the internationally trained dentist program at University of Michigan. Dr. Bhavika is here to share her experience from applying to US dental schools to navigating interviews, bench tests, visa challenges, and finally stepping into dental school. This conversation is going to be incredibly insightful, especially for those of you applying in CAAPID 2025 cycle. So, Dr. Bhavika, welcome. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you so much, Parishi. Thank you so much for having me. And before we start, I just want to say that Caapid Simplified is amazing. Their videos on YouTube have been instrumental in my success, and I have literally binge watched each interview, each video, you know, in detail, and their channel is full of information. So I'm very grateful to be here and honored that I'll be contributing to one of their many videos. Thank
Thank
you
you
so
so
much
much.
for having me.
Yes, thank you. So, first, let's start with a little introduction. Can you tell us a bit about yourself, your background, and what led you to pursue dentistry in the US?
Yes, of course. So I'm Bhavika Gupta. I'm currently a student at University of Michigan School of Dentistry. I am pursuing my DDS through their internationally trained dentist program. My background, a little bit about my background is that I was an associate dentist in New Delhi, India. I have about 2 years of clinical experience. I also did a lot of pro bono work with the Indian Dental Association as well as Rotaract. Other than that, I have research experience also. I have four published papers, and I've also presented about eight post and paper presentations in various national international conferences and have won like 3 4 awards for them. Other than that, I would say as a dentist, I'm very passionate about health literacy and patient education. So I've, through my blog and everything, I have done quite a lot regarding that. And what brings me to the US is just my pursuit for excellence. I want to be here, surround myself with the best and learn from the best. And I see myself as becoming a dentist who's a specialist in prosthodontics as well as implant dentistry. So that is what brings me to the United States.
That's
I
amazing.
hope that's a good introduction as to the work I've done.
Yes, it definitely is. It relates to you. And I believe that many of our listeners will relate to the motivation behind coming to the US to pursue dentistry. Also, we would like to know about the first week of dental school. How was it? Where was your initial thoughts, and how did you adapt to the new environment?
So my first week of dental school was amazing. I mean, you might not know, but this is my very first winter in North America. So I'm still getting used to, the snow, the winter, and everything. The first few days while I was here, every time I'd step out of the house, I'd like have a minor heart attack because my heart would be like, oh my God, it's too cold. Go back in, you're gonna die. But thankfully, I've gotten over that, and I've sort of gotten used to the winter. The first week itself was amazing. The people are absolutely amazing. Everybody's so welcoming. Maybe the only challenge was that we were suddenly overwhelmed with a lot of information. But um, but I mean, thanks to all the help from seniors and everyone, it was pretty good. And second week was much more relaxed than the first one, for sure.
So, I was saying that it's amazing, and it sounds like an intense but exciting transition. It's great to hear that you are able to adjust quickly. I'm sure many applicants wonder what the first few days feel like. Yeah. Can you tell us a bit about the demographic of your class, how diverse it is in terms of international students, backgrounds, experiences, and their visa status?
Okay, so UMich in that sense has done a great job of creating a very diverse ITDP batch this year. So we have 20 people from all over the world, from, different sorts of backgrounds, depending on their work experience, how much they work, their specialization, their family status, their visa status, I mean, it's just very diverse. So in our class, we have people who have about 20-25 years of experience, and then we have people like me who have just 2 years of experience. Visa wise also, we have um, green card holders, we have permanent residents of US citizens, as well as students who are on F1, again, like me. So we have a very diverse crowd, and UMich has done great work picking out people this batch.
That's amazing. It must be inspiring to be in a class with people from different countries and professional backgrounds. It
Yeah,
really adds to the learning experience.
yeah, for sure. I'm always happy to learn from my peers, and it's very collaborative. So I am very thankful for that. That everybody comes in with a great attitude, with a great mindset, and everybody wants to collaborate with each other. So I'm pretty sure the next 2 years they're going to be fabulous with them.
Amazing, amazing. Let's talk about your application process. Personal statements and LORs can be challenging. What was your approach to writing those effective SOP and securing strong LORs? Any tips for applicants?
Yes, of course. So with the statement of purpose, I would highly advise students to or applicants to create a story narrative for their statement, and to through the story to establish who they are as a person and as a dentist. What what are the what's the motive behind them pursuing a career in the US, and what drives them, what's their goal for the future. Moreover, the most important thing to mention in the statement is, number one, why you want to practice in the US, and two, what would be your 5 year, 10 year, 20-year goal after completing your DDS. I think these 2 points are the major meat, they should be the major meat of your statement. Um, Other than that, letter of recommendation, I really think that applicants should prioritize applicants should go for recommendations from people who know them well, instead of going for, oh, we need a letter of recommendation from an American dentist, so I'll get a letter of recommendation from somebody with whom I've worked only for a week. Rather, instead of that, I think a better approach would be to go for maybe a professor with whom you've worked for like a year, 2 years, or maybe, somebody who knows you well, and somebody who can write good stories and good sentences about you, essentially. Yeah. So these are the two major tips I would give.
Those are excellent tips. A well-crafted SOP truly makes a difference in standing out. And yes, the strong LORs can make or break an application.
For sure. And I've also read a few statement of purposes from different applicants. I feel one major mistake that we make is that we focus too much on our story as to why we're dentists. That what drove us to choose dentistry over medicine or whatever field, right? I don't think schools are looking for that. So instead of wasting space or words to, narrate that story, we should focus on other stories which are more important as of now, because schools already know that you're a dentist and that you chose dentistry, so they don't really care about why you chose dentistry. What they care about is why you want to choose the US, and why not go back and practice in your own country. Why do you want to come and practice here?
Yes, I agree.
Yeah.
Um, Another question was, how many schools did you apply to, and how was your experience in navigating the process of each one?
Okay, so during my first cycle, I applied to 9 schools, and during my second cycle, I majorly applied to University of Michigan only, but as a safe option, I applied to UCLA as well as NYU. So three schools in my second cycle.
How did you navigate? Like, what was the difference between your first cycle and the second cycle, and the key differences between them?
Okay, so I think the key difference mm during my first cycle, the key difference between the two cycles, to be honest, for me, there wasn't much difference. I think the second cycle was more successful for me because of the timing. I had just given my ADAT during July of 2023, and I got my results in August of 2023. So by then, most schools had, gone past their deadline, and they couldn't really consider my ADAT score. Whereas in the second cycle, because schools could consider my ADAT score, so which is why it turned out to be more successful for me. Otherwise, depending on my approach, there wasn't much difference. I think during my second cycle, I put more emphasis on my clinical experience because by the second cycle, I had accumulated, good 2 years of experience. So I had done a lot of clinical dentistry, including even crowns, onlays, implants, rubber and endodontics under rubber dams, all sorts of things. So I think in my second cycle, my statement of purpose was more clinically inclined, whereas in the first cycle, it was more related to my work with Rotaract, my volunteering work, as well as my research work. So, yeah, I hope that makes sense.
Yes. Also, you got in an invite, an acceptance in your first cycle. Could you
Mm,
give some tips for first-time applicants as
yeah,
well?
yeah. So, I have a story with this, which I do want to tell. So, what happened was during my first cycle, I applied to 9 schools and I got acceptance from Buffalo. However, when I was applying for visas, I did not get an F1 visa because there just weren't any dates with the Indian embassy for F1 visas. So I couldn't secure an F1 visa, and which is why I had to let that Buffalo seat go. Again, I think I have to give credit to my ADAT score. I got a very good ADAT score, which was a 640. And Buffalo was one of the schools whose deadline was a bit later. I think their deadline was in September or sometime.
Yes, September.
So, which is why they did consider my ADAT score. And I think that was a crucial point in my resume. As well as, of course, it was a well rounded profile. I had research experience, I had volunteering experience, I had shadowing US experience, I had experience as a clinical dentist. Um, Another thing that I think helped me a lot was my bench test prep course that I took with Dr. Stevenson. I think that one week and that one course prepared me for the bench test. And ultimately, Buffalo has a tough bench test. So if you don't make it, you don't really get to interview with them. So making sure that you are 110% ready for the bench test was also key in my case.
That's really insightful. The number of schools and the application strategy can vary from person to person, and it's great
Yeah.
to hear how you approached it.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, of
Was
course.
there? Continue. Sorry.
Nothing. I just wanted to add that yes, each profile is different and unique in its own way. In my case, I genuinely think that things that helped me were my proactiveness during my BDS years. So, be it research experience, be it my experience with road track, be it volunteering, be it, you know, me being proactive during my BDS years, I think that really helped. And second was my ADAT score. And third would be the bench test prep course that I took with Dr. Stevenson, which made me, again, 110% ready for the bench tests.
Okay. That's really inspiring, and it helps a lot of students who are in dental school right now.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
my advice to them would be that start now. Start attending conferences, start presenting papers, get in touch with a faculty member who can help you with research. Don't wait for internship. Don't wait for you to graduate. Start now. If you are serious about the US, start as early as possible.
That's great advice. Was there any unique experience or challenge during your entire journey that stood out, something unexpected but valuable?
A challenge, of course, was the visa. Honestly, I sometimes joke about it that getting into school was less hard than getting the visa. So if you're not already somebody who has, citizenship or is a permanent resident, getting visa these days is genuinely hard. So definitely consider that when you're considering the US route, because be it a visitor visa, be it a student visa, even be it a worker visa after you graduate, DDS, just the whole visa scenario, it is challenging for sure. So that is something to consider when you're planning your future, essentially. That would be like the one major challenge.
That's some really good advice. Thank you for sharing that with us. Interviews can be very nerve-wracking. How did you prepare for them, and do you have any strategies that work well for you in both the cycles?
um Great question. So interviews, I honestly practiced for interviews through chat GPT. So, I mean, I would put in a prompt saying that, okay, I'm preparing for my interview for this program at this school, and and you're the interviewer, so interview me. And, it would give me a list of questions, and then I would turn the photo booth on my laptop, or like get my camera out on my phone and then record myself. So I think that strategy really helped, because essentially in interviews you have to be okay with spontaneous speech, and you can prepare all you like. However, when the interviewer asks you something that you have no answer to, you need to be able to think on the spot and just come up with an answer and speak on the spot, right? So I think ChatGPT really helped me with that. Moreover, just doing mock interviews with family members, with friends, with just anyone who would listen to me. I'd be like, okay, do we have 2 minutes? Please just like, ask me random interview questions, and I'll, let's talk it
Yeah,
out. So I think getting feedback from, some third person perspective, that also genuinely helps for sure.
yeah. And
Um,
did ChatGPT give you any advices, suggestions?
Yeah, I mean, if you for example type in your answer, or if you use the voice option, then ChatGPT does give you advice. And I mean, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't work, but a human advice would be more beneficial than the ChatGPT advice. But ChatGPT is great with, generating questions, generating mock interviews, that sort of thing. Definitely. Also, sorry, another thing I want to add, with interviews, definitely research frameworks that you can use to formulate answers. So, a very common framework that I used was PREP: point, point, reason, example, and point again. So, these frameworks, they just help you with spontaneous speech, and that's a tip I hope that helps somebody, whoever was here.
Yeah, it will. It's a really great advice. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I've heard of the SWOT analysis as well.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Did
So
you
there,
use it?
I personally did not use it, but there are
Okay.
lots of frameworks out there. Again, ChatGPT can help you with finding frameworks.
Okay.
But yeah, frameworks definitely help.
Okay. And how was your interview like at University of Michigan and Buffalo?
Okay, so with University of Michigan, they have a multiple mini interview format, which was online. Um, the interview was, I mean, at the time, I thought I had screwed it up, honestly, because I mean, their questions were tough, okay, in the sense
What were
that,
the questions like?
okay, so the questions, they required you to think critically and assess, whatever situation that they've given you. And I mean, there's no wrong answer, It's just
Yeah.
about how you comprehend the situation, how you think of a solution, and how you present that solution, right? So, I mean, it was challenging for sure. And I honestly thought I had screwed it up, but I guess not.
What
Since
was the question, if you remember?
I'm not sure if I can discuss the questions because
Okay.
they make you sign an
Oh,
NDA. But
oh,
yeah,
we
I'm
didn't know this. So
yeah.
is it a MMI format?
Yes, multiple
Okay.
mini interview.
Interviews, yeah. Okay, that's great. And how long does it last?
It's like a 30 minute exercise. It's not very long.
Okay.
It's quite short. Yeah, but I think one tip I can give is that just be yourself. Don't try to pretend to be someone else, because if you're pretending to be someone else, it just comes off as fake, and they're very easy to catch. It's very easy to catch if somebody is being fake. So just be yourself and be honest, be ethical, be yeah. I mean, I know it sounds very counterintuitive, but yes, be yourself.
Okay. Yes, that's great advice. Mock interviews and confidence building techniques with friends, family, ChatGPT really
Yes.
helps. Yes. And coming to the bench tests, you already mentioned about the Stevenson bench test course which you took. But other than that, did you practice at home?
Oh, definitely. I got like the whole system, compressor, handpiece, the mounting pole, everything. And I
Here
practiced.
in the US or back home?
So I was sort of flying in between. Like sometimes I would be back in India, sometimes in the US. So for both places, I got both setups, honestly. So I mean, yeah, practice is key. Going to a bench test prep course is one thing. However, that is not the 100% solution. You do need to practice during your own time and make sure that whatever you've learned during that course, you actually apply it such that your preps are perfect and you're confident for the bench test. So, yes,
Okay.
practice is key.
So, what exercises did they ask you? Like, how was the bench test format at Buffalo and Michigan, and how did you like navigate through it?
Again, I'm not sure if I can say what exactly the exercise was.
Yeah, of course.
However, they just ask mostly, so there will be one direct restoration and one indirect restoration.
Okay.
Um, both of the schools, um, they ask for preps as well as the restoration. So make sure that you practice both. Make sure that you practice your crown preps, your class two preps, your even your amalgam restorations, composite restorations. Make sure that you practice everything. So basically, they tell you that it's going to be direct restorations and indirect restorations, and it could be anything. So make sure that you're well prepared for all these procedures.
Okay. And how well in advance did you start preparing for it? What would you suggest applicant? How long before the bench test would you suggest them to start preparing for it?
Okay, so honestly, I had started preparing for the bench test in dental school while I was in final year. So in final year, they teach you crown preps, right? And I took it very seriously because I knew that in the bench exam, they ask for crown preps and stuff. So I would start practicing, start getting my concepts right from the get go. Then, however, I mean, obviously, I wasn't practicing every day. I was, practicing whenever I had the time. Then later, once I had been through with my bench test prep course, is when I invested into the system. Invested into hand pieces, the what do you call it? The compressor and
The
everything.
compressor.
Yeah. So all of these things, I had my home set up and then I started practicing after my bench prep course. And practice wise, I would practice about, it really depended on the day. I mean, if I was feeling good, I could do like three preps in a day. But if sometimes I would not feel like doing it, I would do one prep a day. So, but yeah, consistency is also key. Make sure that you're doing at least something, each day.
Yes, correct. And did you use loops?
Yeah, definitely. Loops, I again invested into loops, and I've been using loops for 2 years now, such that now I feel completely blind if I'm without loops. So, I mean, loops definitely help. However, having said that, uh, loops are not 100% essential. I know of a lot of people who have cracked the bench test without loops. So it's not that you need to have loops in order to uh, pass a bench test. You can pass it even without loops. But yes, loops do help.
Okay, that's excellent. Hands-on practice is definitely.
Sorry, start again. Where were we? I forgot.
So we were at the bench test
Bench
prep,
test.
and then I
Okay.
was like
Okay.
concluding, like summarizing it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Okay. Start. Um, that's excellent. Hands-on practice and consistency is definitely key, and having a structured approach makes a big difference. But this was really unique that you started to prep for it in the final year itself. That's very insightful. Um, Now we wanted to move on onto the visa process. So the visa process you already discussed about it is another challenge for international students face. What were some struggles which you encountered, and how did you overcome them?
Mhm. So with visa, I think the major issue was that there weren't any appointment dates with the embassy. So while my paperwork was done, everything was ready, there just weren't any dates available. And I had applied for an emergency appointment, but I was rejected because at that time they weren't accepting any emergency appointments for an F1 visa. So, I mean, honestly, I have heard of this happening with other people as well.
You had the opportunity to shadow at Melo Smiles, USA. How did you land that opportunity, and how was your experience like?
Okay. So, Melo Smile USA is the private practice of Dr. Shankar Iyer. And if you don't already know, Dr. Shankar Iyer is a fabulous prosthodontist who's, famous all around the world. And he's a great educator as well as a great dentist. And honestly, he was one of the inspirations for me for, for taking the leap and coming to the US. Having said that, how I landed there was by cold emailing. So if you don't actually know what cold emailing is, it's you reaching out to people that you don't know through a phone call, through an email, or even through an Instagram DM. Point is, you have to make it professional as well as catch their attention through your message, right? So this actually is a great segue for me to talk about cold emailing because I think that is one factor which can make or break your CAPID cycle. If I mean, it's so important for you to cold email, people and reach out and connect with people, be it the admissions committee, be it a faculty in a university, be it somebody like Dr. Shankar Iyer, be it a dentist that you really want to shadow, be it anyone. Cold emailing can open, gates for you that you never thought would be possible. It's a great way to create new opportunities for yourself. So, I mean, definitely look up more YouTube videos about cold emailing. Ask Chat GPT for cold emailing advice, and make sure that you develop the skill of cold emailing and reaching out to people and networking with people and creating connections because that can really make or break your cycle for sure.
That's fantastic. Did you land other shadowing opportunities with the same cold emailing method?
Yes, yes. So I cold emailed Dr. Shankar Iyer. Fun fact, I actually cold emailed Dr. Sandesh Maikar. But again, with cold emailing, it's like you never know what will work, what will not work. You just have to shoot your shot and hope that it lands, right? So I did cold email a lot of dentists, and one of them was Dr. Sandesh Maikar. But again, that was not successful. However, thankfully, to some luck out there in the world, I did land a shadowing experience with Dr. Shankar Iyer.
That's amazing. Thank you for sharing this with us.
Mhm.
And finally, what are your top tips for the CAPIT 2025 applicants, both the first-time ones and the re-applicants?
Great question. So I have thought, about it for a very long time, and I have come to three major points that I tell every applicant that I talk to. So the first would be, all of this might sound repetitive because I have talked about all of these, previously in the video, but I really want to re-emphasize how important these three things are. So the first would be, take a good bench test prep course. It doesn't have to be super expensive or anything, but make sure that it's good and that a lot of people have been successful after taking it, because it's actually more cost effective to invest in a bench test prep course beforehand and ace the bench test in one go, rather than missing out on a bench test and then reapplying next year. So it's more cost effective to invest in one beforehand. Then the second thing I would tell everyone is, take the ADAT, definitely. Um, Even if you're applying to just US schools, a good ADAT score is something that can show the admissions committee that you're a good student and that you will be successful in the highly demanding and highly, fast-paced dental program. So definitely having a good ADAT score is, it can open many gates for you. And the third thing would be to build connections, right? Don't just, don't, a connection is not about you knowing someone. A connection is about them knowing you, right? So make sure that you cold email, make sure that you visit campuses, make sure that you get in touch with the admissions committee before even the cycle starts. Make sure that, you're in touch with faculties of that university. And it takes time, for sure. It takes time, it takes effort, it takes guts, honestly, reaching out to people. Half of the most of the time they don't even reply, but you keep persisting, and you go for it, and then ultimately, through these connections that you build, is how you secure a seat in these universities, because US universities, they highly regard networking and building connections. So that is like the third point, which I think is the most important point. Build connections, build a huge network around you.
I completely agree. And how you talked about building connections and cold emailing helps a lot to build a network. And then maybe even if you don't get in a seat, you can always gain from their experiences, learn from them, and build relations with them. That's
Yeah, of
amazing
course.
advice.
I mean, building connections, it it might not always translate to a DDS seat, but it can translate to, a lot of opportunities that we might otherwise miss. For example, it could lead to a research assistantship. It could lead to even maybe a job offer. It could lead to so many good things. So, I mean, networking always helps. There's never a loss with networking.
Yes, I agree. Thank you for sharing this with us, and we will wrap on our session today. Dr. Bhavika, this has been an incredibly informative session. Thank you for sharing your journey, your challenges, and your successes with us. I'm sure many aspiring applicants will benefit greatly from your experiences.
Mhm.
For those watching, you can say, sorry.
No, I just wanted to say thank you so much for having me here. And I really hope that all this information helps somebody out there, because all of this information I've gathered through trial and error. And I don't want people to make the same mistakes I made. So yes, I really hope all of this information helps somebody.
Yes, definitely. For those watching, I hope you found this session helpful. If you have any more questions or need further guidance, I'll link down Dr. Bhavika's page below and maybe you can connect with her. Uh, Stay connected with Capital Simplified. Once again, thank you, Dr. Bhavika, for your time today.
Thank you so
Yes,
much for having me, and best of luck to everybody out there watching. And also, thanks to Capit Simplified for existing and for being such a great resource for applicants like me who feel lost at times. So yeah, thank you so much.